Ding Gukesh, round 6. No engines were harmed in the making of this video. We begin today with a London system. And I think this is a very natural choice for Ding. Ding, when he was playing with more confidence in his heyday, was a great expert in the Catalan, also a structure that he could kind of drill down on, the dynamics of which he could understand. The problem with both the London and the Catalan is now Black has a deep variety of ways to respond to it. And so then if you want to play it effectively, you need to know as White some deep theory, and that's what we get today. So this phase of the game was played very quickly. This bishop b5 move seems a little weird to me. It's all computer driven, okay? What's the idea? We take, White says, if CD, ED, maybe, I'm a little bit better. Queen A3, knight E4, this is all very computery. E5, very computer driven. Knight E4, DE4, Queen C5, Queen G6, Knight D2, Queen G2, castles. Now, normally I would spend a lot more time going over these moves, but in fact, here we are just playing where both sides are still in their known business here. And this is the first move, DE5. It's actually been played in some correspondence games, but it's the first move for Gukesh where he is going to think a little bit, and he plays Rook B8, which encourages Knight C4, Bishop E6, big tank, Rook D2, Queen F3, Rook E1. We're gonna see this queen returning to F3. Bishop C4, Queen C4, and I think it's fair to say that the game properly begins here. Okay, now, Black plays Queen F5, and Ding had a massive think here. Massive think, 42 minutes. And actually, let me just show you the time graph real quick. You can see that he really tanks there and had built up a huge reserve of time before that, right? Monster think. To my mind, it was unnecessary to think too long, and Queen C6 seemed to be the right move. Now, one of the things that's interesting about this taking forever on Queen C6 is when we take, what's going to happen is we're getting, I think, a very nice position for White, but a very difficult one to play in the sense that, let's first of all, just say why we like it for White. If you trade the queens here, White has the jump on the coming ending, right? Because he controls the D file. The king is better placed. We're going to start pushing those pawns up the board. So White would be better. It doesn't mean we think that White is winning, but White is better. If Black goes away, which is what happens, then we're going to say White is still better, and the queen is now better than the Black queen. But that in this position, there's going to be a lot of questions of like, well, how do I actually play on the queen side without opening myself to counterplay, right? Now, at this point, I want to say, I think White has definitely won the battle of the opening, even if he doesn't feel that confident about it. And I'm going to put it at like 0.4 for White. White's done great. Like if you are going to do some opening prep nowadays against somebody who's also prepped, the most you can hope for, the most is something like this, where you get this very, it might be double-edged, might be complicated, but it is a nice position for White. We have the D file. We have the control of with the better queen. Okay, so now we're going to see something shameful. We're going to see something shameful. I felt, and I still feel, that the simple move for White would be Rook ED1. And then we say we are better, quite simply because we control the D file and we have the better queen, right? And we analyze moves like G6, and White can do a variety of things, but we are simply better. right? And on g6, we could even consider maybe b3 to intending king b2, or queen a5 intending b3 and then king b2. So we will try to build the position for white. Is it complicated? Yes, right? It was always dangerous whenever we start moving our pawns up over there. But that is the general thrust of how we want to play the position. Okay, so the shameful thing now happens with queen d6, queen g5, queen d5, and he's aiming to repeat. Repeat when he is better. So this speaks to what we talked about in the pre-match analysis, which is that Ding is suffering from a lack of confidence, right? Remarkably, he's still in this match. He's still in this match with that lack of confidence. That shows how good of a player he is. And that he could win the match still, even with the lack of confidence, just by playing defense and hoping that Gukesh freaks out. Now, the first thing Gukesh does, which seems like a freak out, is he says, oh no, I'm going to play on. I'm going to be the one that plays on in this position, my friend. And we were like, what? Are you crazy? And so points for bravery with queen h4. His seconds might have been losing their minds in the back room when he declines the draw here. It is true, though, that it's not easy for white to play. And if he's lacking in confidence, then this is not the type of position to want to have when you're lacking in confidence. So we get here, g6, and now I felt the very natural rook, queen e5, I felt the very natural rook b7 made a lot of sense for black here. Black embarks on an interesting idea here that it's going to take us through to the idea itself is going to carry through for the rest of the game. And so he's going to play rook b e8. And I kind of like it. So the idea is to say, look, as black, I want to play on the king side. And we're going to have inevitably a race of my pawns against your pawns. And I want my rooks to be behind those pawns, right? So queen g3, queen h5, we don't want to trade it yet. And now the intention for black is a move like queen f3 someday. Okay, so this is where, time is ticking. People are thinking. And white plays queen f4, which we were originally not too happy with. The question becomes, there's a lot of times here, many possible moves where white can play rook to d7. The argument against rook d7 is maybe even though they told us that the rook belongs on the 7th, it's a little dangerous because that rook is going to go off in an adventure and then black can hope for counterplay while the rook is on said adventure. Okay, so from that perspective, this kind of cautious move, queen f4, might be kind of clever. The claim with queen f4 is that queen f3 is good for white. Is it good? Well, we're going to talk about it because it's going to come up again. Also, it's this curious thing that even though white is better, it's almost like white is the one playing for a draw. Well, we already see he was playing for a draw. He doesn't feel confident, and this lack of confidence is definitely hurting him. Okay, Gukesh plays on. Now, one of the things we said before the match was that Gukesh should try to play on forever, to wear him down. Just keep playing and playing and playing, That's the way a young kid should approach playing an old man. Okay, old man, he's only 32, but still. A3, and now look what happens. Queen b5, rook d4, we thought this was good. Again, not going on the adventure, but building the position so we're getting ready to start pushing our own pawns. Queen e2, rook 1d2, queen f3. And now, if you notice, it seemed to us like this is an improved version of the queen f3 we could have gotten several moves ago. Okay, king c2. We thought this was a good move. And now Gukesh plays queen f4, and our first reaction was that this was incorrect, ef4. Now, let's first look at what Gukesh does, f5. So remember what I said earlier, rook b e8, this move, set up this kind of situation where we are going to be trying to win the race on the king side, at least be fast enough so that we're not going to lose. Okay. White definitely looks like they're better here, and they have several candidate moves. But what they need to worry about is maybe g5 is coming, and then if fg, then we run. So that's the concern that white has, and the reason they play h4. Now, quick story here. We're analyzing this game. All three senseis are there. e3 was played, and David Bruce was so horrified. He's a huge fan of Gukesh. So horrified by this move that he just said, I'm going to bed. You know, the guy's been up forever. You know, he's a fan of Gukesh, and here it is. Looks like Gukesh is playing the worst positional move possible. And from a positional standpoint, it's definitely nasty because rook e2, and now the white king is going to come to d3. And it looks so over that David Bruce just went to bed. And it took us a while to actually understand that maybe black is totally fine here. Okay, so let's take a look. King d3, we felt that was, or rook e7, king d3, we felt that was good. Rook f8. And on the surface level, it looks like black is toast. However, it's actually quite complicated. So after Proust left, me and Kostya came up with the idea that if c4, maybe king g7. Let's go c5. King h6. b4. Let's go king h5, b5. Well, we'll take it. Let's go c6. Let's go king g3, a4. Now, it looks very scary, a5, b6. But then after g5, the question is quite simply, who is faster? And it looks very dangerous for white. And this is typical of this kind of play. So David was wrong. You were wrong, David. It wasn't time to go nappity nap yet. Okay, buddy? All right. So David had already left when this was played, and then we realized, oh, at the very minimum, this complicates the game a lot, this h5 move. Yeah, this was not clear. And now, in addition to what happens in the game, king g7 could be played with mildly similar ideas, but I think Ding's thought was, oh, if king g7 now, then I'll take it, and then at least I won't lose that h-pawn when the king comes around. Okay, snip, rook d5, and it looks for half a second like maybe we're going to have something as white, but h4, snip, still looks like maybe we're in time, but check, unfortunately, drives our king away from its very nice and active square on d3. King g7, nice move. I was calculating rook e d8 followed by rook d2, and I did not find a path for an advantage for white in those variations. This move, king g7, is maybe clearer in the sense that now I want to play, let's say rook h5, king g6, exclam, snip, king f5, and I am going to start coming in. I'm going to come in. It's going to be very hard to hold this pawn, and then I'm going to get counterplay. So king g7, exclam, rook g2, back, rook e2, and here is where they finally repeat, and Ding gets his long coveted draw. So here we are, round 6. Personally, I thought at this point of the match that Gukesh would be leading, especially if, as was predicted, Ding has this crisis of confidence, right? But despite the crisis of confidence, the man can still play, and when he's on the defense, that's when he can find some good moves. It's just clear he's not confident in playing, when he has the advantage. He's not confident, right? Okay, so there it is, round 6. If you are interested in joining the dojo, then use code WC24 to join at 20% off. Also, if you just enjoy these vids, go to our Patreon and give Kostya enough money to buy himself an avocado toast. They cost a lot in St. Louis. He used to be in California. They were cheaper there, so he's got a real crunch going on. Help him out. Till round 7.